Greetings! I use the Dolby Atmos Renderer, which I love. But there are certain pitfalls. I'm gonna cover 3 of those pitfalls today, and if you stick to the end, there's a bonus one. So let's look at pitfall number 1, which is setting up the correct sample rates and why it's important. I'll tell you, I almost blew up my speakers because the renderer sometimes gets weird if you change the sample rate while you're checking out something else at another sample rate, or you're upscaling or downsampling or. It gets weird. Everything lights up red and you hear this horrendous sound that goes "Ah!" and you can very easily blow up a speaker. Anyways, so let's see how to be checking for this. We're in Logic Pro and we're going to go into our settings, audio. You see my output and input devices here are Symphony IO Thunderbolt. You do not want that when you're working with the external renderer. You want this to be Dolby Audio Bridge and your IO buffer size at the highest it can be. Logic's is 1024. So you apply that, right? Now, this is my template. My template has 96 kilohertz right up here, if you see, right? 96 kilohertz. So we're all set here, right? So let's move on to the renderer. Right here, 96, right? Where do we find that? We go into our preferences, and in the preferences, you see the frame rate and the sample rate, right? So we're all set. Audio output device, that's the next step. That's Sphere 64. Audio input device, Dolby Audio Bridge, right? So coming out of Logic, getting in the Dolby renderer, right? Through the Dolby Audio Bridge, out to our Sphere 64. Let's look at Sphere 64. This is my control room software and where I do all my Atmos stuff. It's a wonderful piece of software. So here's my 914 renderer input, and here's my 914 renderer output. Sample rate, problem, right? So let's go in our settings, master clock and sample rate, and we'll pick 96K. There you go. Okay, so 96,000 hertz, 96 kilohertz in our Sphere, 96 kilohertz in our converters, and back to Logic. So we're all set. Everything is at 96K. So we can go ahead, load in files, and go on with the rest of our mix. Now let's look at pitfall number 2, and that has to do with the binaural settings plugin. Here I have a separate track in Logic for the binaural settings plugin. Opening it up here, you see the assignment of everything here. You can see my object bed here, right? One important thing that you have to look at is, it's actually 2 important things. One of them is this green thing here that says local host. If it's green, we're all good. If it's not green, we have a problem. Where else do you check if everything is correct with this? Let's go to our renderer. So this guy needs to be blue, and these guys needs to be that teal thing. Okay, if this is like that, it's an issue. It needs to be blue. So you see, sync transport to incoming LTC, time code, right? These guys, if they are yellowy, then there's something wrong. And you need to get into the relaunching core audio, quitting the applications, restarting them again. And you won't avoid that at some point because it's software, it craps out at times. While you're at it, Going back to Logic Pro, we might as well open the LTC, make sure everything is on, that this is on, right? 24 frames per second, the LTC generator, the time code. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention about the binaural settings plugin is sometimes if your Logic setting is, or your other DAWs, there's settings like this that kind of put the plugins to sleep if you don't use them. Sometimes it thinks that it's not using it, so it puts it to sleep. So then you're looking everywhere, you're like, what is going on? And the only thing that was happening was that your binaural settings plugin was asleep. So wake it up before it goes. Cheap joke. Okay, so when you're exporting a file, you have your mix ready. It's all there. You set the Dolby renderer to record and you're all ready to be done. And then you open it up and you've missed the beginning. I can demonstrate, actually. Let's do that. Let's start a new track here. Let's hide this, guys. So let's pick up a... I'm going to drop the funk lead guitar. Love this guy. Okay. Let's say that we wanted to start right at the transient here, right? Let's do this. So let's split it here. I'm going to throw this away and we're going to stick this to the beginning. Let's record this, okay? We're going to go to our renderer and we're going to do file, new master file. So we're going to call this testing intro. We're going to record enable. Go back to our Logic Pro and play our file. And it is done. So let's export a re-render. And we're going to add our file. So let's see what's up. You see what happened? You know what this is? It's this. This is gone. Why? Because you need to set up the renderer as a tape machine. A good old tape machine. In other words, you have to give it a little bit of time to get it going. You know, a couple of easy fixes for that is you can move forward the piece so you can give it a little bit of extra space here. There's also another way, but it gets a little bit too complicated. You can actually find it under setup, advanced settings, and it's the audio to timecode alignment. And you see you have a timecode offset for 48 kilohertz and one for 96 kilohertz. And you can adjust the samples that are different so it can start on time. It's okay, just yank it over a little bit and you're all set. You can then go to the assembler before you export the master and cut. And because you've been so nice and you stuck around, here's the little bonus tip I told you about. If you go to your input and master menu, you will see the trim and down mix controls. Okay, all those things need to be adjusted depending on how and to whom you are delivering the masters. There are different specifications for different record labels, so you have to follow those specs. If you don't, the masters will get rejected. I haven't heard this happen for smaller labels or indie artists, but still, it's better safe than sorry. And here's a video right here about the latest renderer updates. Till next time, like, subscribe.